Hello, welcome back or welcome in. I'm Ceymone and we're back to doing a regular Everything Coming video for the upcoming Rainbow Six Siege season. I'll be going over every documented change coming in Year 9 Season 3 Operation Twin Shells. As usual, this video is designed to work as a fully listenable experience, but there will be supplemental information showed on screen as well. Let's get into it. First, let's catch up with the changes that were introduced between the last Everything Coming video and now in the Year 9 Season 2 Midseason patch. Melusi and Wamai lost access to the magnified optics on their MP5 and MP5K, while Echo gained access to the magnified optics on his MP5SD. Lots of MP5 attention. Melusi also gained the ITA-12S secondary shotgun, as well as an extra Banshee, meaning she now has a total of 4. Echo was also updated from a 2-speed 2-health operator to a 1-speed 3-health operator. Buck lost his Gone 6. Ella traded her observation blockers for impact grenades. Azami's Kiba barriers are more vulnerable to bullets. And finally, Gridlock's track stingers now do 15 damage instead of 10. Again, these changes were already in the game and were introduced in the mid-season patch. Now, let's get into the new changes coming in Operation Twin Shells, starting with a brand new operator. Koris Glanos is a Greek operator from the Ravenshield era of Rainbow Six. Her codename, Skopos, is also Greek and has a meaning something like observer, watcher, protector, or lookout, and as we continue this video, you may find it rather fitting. Skopos is unique in the fact that she has been a wheelchair user since the incident we saw in Deadly Omen's animated trailer, when Deimos turned on his fellow operators. As one might imagine, she has quite the bone to pick with him following that betrayal. You may be wondering, how does Skopos fit into the Rainbow Six Siege ecosystem? Will she herself be taking to the field? Not quite. Skopos' unique gadget is the V10 Pantheon system, comprised of 2 robotic operators, Talos and Colossus, who she can remotely control and operate throughout the round. Twin shells, if you will, although they do have their own unique and differing designs. At all times, one shell is in an active state and the other is in an idle state, and she can swap between them in most cases. This allows Skopos to alternate and synergize between offensive and defensive gameplay with ease. Swapping is as simple as opening the idle shell as an observation tool and holding a key to swap, if you want to. You'll be able to see the status of both Talos and Colossus on your screen at all times, which can be used to indicate if you're in a swappable location, if a shell is taking damage, and more. You can swap in most locations, but you can't swap outside or too close to other objects or walls. You can also use this status as intel if you're keeping track of where you're leaving your idle shell.
Kitchen edge.
Okay. Oh, they're
Can I save your life? Bye.
You saved my life.
top warehouse. They killed Miss Shell. Both robots have an outline if you have team outlines turned on, as Skopos or a fellow defender, so you can keep them in mind when they're close but hidden by cover. But having 2 bodies doesn't mean having 2 lives. If the active shell is destroyed, Skopos' link to both shells is destroyed, meaning she's effectively demoted to spectator. However, you may find that while she doesn't get a second life, she certainly can get second chances thanks to her ability's extreme mobility, allowing her to essentially abandon a body to save her life. The active shell isn't swapped until the swap is fully complete, so you can catch this operator mid-swap to prevent a cheeky escape. If the active shell is destroyed, the idle shell will still remain up as an observation tool and/or deployable shield. Yes, the idle shell is essentially a piece of utility, a deployable shield and observation tool in one, bulletproof if the shield is still up. The shield the idle shell deploys as it deactivates has the same mechanics as a regular deployable shield. For example, the glass can be shattered so the observation tool can't see so well. It can be destroyed separately from the body of the shell by anything that can destroy a normal shield like Callie's lance, Ash's breaching rounds, Zophia's impact grenades, Ace's Selma charges, Sledge's hammer, Ram's boogies, Flores' RC Rotero drones, or frag grenades. Although in the case of Flores and grenades, it will likely be enough damage to destroy the body too. The shield cannot be electrified by Kaid's Electroclaw or Bandit's batteries. And if an operator manages to get on top of the shield, it will break to prevent exploitation to get into normally unreachable locations. The shell itself, despite being human-shaped, does not trigger traps that an operator normally would, like claymores, nomads' air jabs, and so on. Brava is able to hack the idle shell to overheat and destroy it, although this does give a warning on Skopos' status overlay. If Skopos is able to swap that idle shell to be the active shell before the overheat completes, she can prevent it, since the active shell has countermeasures we'll discuss a little later. Once Brava gets the success message on her end and the overheat starts, her charge is expended regardless of if it was prevented afterwards or not, so it can be risky, and I recommend putting Skopos in a situation she cannot safely swap. Tubarão can interrupt the initial hack with his Zoto canister, but he cannot stop the overheat if it's already started. IQ is also able to detect the idle shell with her scanner, and she can even see both shells briefly during the swap. The idle shell's eyes act as an observation tool, and as such can be deceived by Nokk or hacked by Dokkaebi, although the idle shell will not ring during a phone call. Observers are able to ping, scan gadgets, and spectate through the camera if they have access to it. It is not a thermal camera, so it cannot see through smoke. The shell's body can remain if its shield is destroyed and it has health left, but it does become particularly vulnerable without that protection. The active shell, on the other hand, is basically an operator. It can be tracked by operators like Deimos, Grim, Lion, and Jackal. If Skopos swaps shells while being tracked, the pings will stay on the shell that was originally detected or targeted. The active shell can also be affected by most traps, including hacked Capcan EDDs, Thorn's Razor Bloom shells, or Melusi's Banshee sonic devices, as well as Gridlock's track stingers, Nomad's air jabs, concussions from Zofia, Ella, and Echo, and the Claymore. An exception to this are Smoke's gas grenades and Fenrir's F-Naught dread mines, neither of which impact the active shell because it has no lungs. The active shell can be flashed by stuns from Blitz, Ying, or stun grenades. It can also be seen by Glaz's thermal scope, interestingly enough. I guess the wiring gets a little warm. While the active shell is still a robot, it does have a countermeasure that activates to make it immune to IQ, Nokk, Brava, and disruption by Dokkaebi. The active shell can still see while Dokkaebi is calling, and it also has a phone with a custom ringtone. Both the active shell and idle shell still have bodies that are affected similarly by a myriad of interactions. For example, they're both susceptible to fire from Goyo, Tachanka, and Capitão. They can also take damage from lasers such as from Twitch's shock drones, Zero's Argus cams, and Maestro's evil eyes, from Ram's boogies, from explosions, and bullets. Despite being treated more like a piece of utility, the idle shell can still be headshot, and they can both be meleeed. Neither shell produces blood, but you will get damage markers similar to the ones you see when you're destroying a gadget. Both shells can be affected by EMPs, including from Thatcher, secondary impact EMPs, Tubarão Zoto canisters, or hacked mute jammers, or bulletproof cameras. But they're affected in slightly differing ways. If the active shell is EMP'd, all observation tools are scrambled and Skopos cannot swap shells. Little fuzzies appear on your screen while under the effect, but the active shell's countermeasures stops you from being completely knocked out. If the idle shell is EMP'd, its own feed is scrambled to observers, and it cannot be swapped too. If either the active shell or the idle shell gets in the way of a hacked Aruni Surya gate, it will get zapped for the usual 30 HP of damage. Since the shells are robots, they cannot be healed by Doc or Thunderbird. They also cannot enter the down but not out state, and as such they cannot pick up Rook armor. As you heard, both shells have many counters, but I think the most notable two are Dokkaebi and IQ. Dokkaebi for limiting Skopos' mobility at key times and putting pressure on the intel within sight. IQ for being the most efficient means of locating the idle shell so it can be dealt with before it becomes a problem later in the round, limiting Skopos' mobility before it even begins. Skopos synergizes well with operators that can protect her shells. This can include Wamai and Jaeger, whose gadgets can protect the idle shell from throwables, or Mute to protect it from nefarious drones. But of course, swapping and moving can move you away from a protective setup, so swap with care. Regarding loadout, Skopos doesn't have much choice. She only has one option each for primary weapon and secondary weapon, but I am proud to report that we have a new weapon in the game. New to the arsenal is the PCX-33 assault rifle, boasting 36 base damage with a 31+1 magazine capacity, 5 magazines, for a total of 155 bullets maximum, a reasonable 745 RPM fire rate, 3.3 second reload speed, and a 0.49 second ADS time. This AR has a low destruction rating, meaning it can't take big chunks out of walls easily, and it is rated a 2 out of 5 for difficulty. This gun is extremely comparable stats-wise to the G36C AR carried by Ash and Yana, as well as the 9x19 VSN SMG available to Kapkan and Azami. Skopos' PCX-33 has access to the 1X and iron sights, all of the barrel attachments including flash hider, compensator, muzzle brake, suppressor or extended barrel, all of the grip attachments including vertical, angled or horizontal, as well as having access to the underbarrel laser attachment. Her only secondary option is the P229 handgun, which is also available to Hibana, Echo, Goyo, and Grim. Her P229 has access to muzzle brake or suppressor for barrel attachments, as well as the optional underbarrel laser attachment. Each shell brings their own set of these weapons, and ammunition is not shared between them, so if used effectively, Skopos realistically has access to 310 primary bullets total between each shell. Skopos can choose to bring 2 proximity alarms or 2 impact grenades into the game. Secondary gadgets are shared, but not split, between the shells, so Skopos does not get extra utility in that regard. Each shell is a 2-speed, 2-health operator, meaning they spawn in with 110 health. All in all, Skopos is an extremely tactically oriented operator who can excel at mobility and positioning during a round, particularly in the hands of a player with good map knowledge and game sense. But even without, the idle shell brings undeniable benefits to the team as a piece of defensive utility that can be used as cover or for other means. Her operator specialties are intel and support, largely thanks to her built-in observation tools and her ability to gain information efficiently or otherwise via her twin shells. Comment down below how you plan on using Skopos in the new season. We're also getting some operator balancing changes in the new season featuring Dokkaebi, Solis, and Nokk. As a temporary acknowledgement of the frustrations around Dokkaebi's unique ability, she is receiving a change that will require some resource management and survivability on the player's part. Instead of starting the action phase with 2 phone calls, she will start with 0 charges initially. She will gain a charge every 45 seconds for a maximum of 2 total. When the refill completes, Dokkaebi will hear a little vibrating sound cue letting her know she has a call available. This change is an adjustment to curb the frustration for a bit while they work on a more substantial change in the future that will address the global part of her gadget. Operation Twin Shells is also bringing part 2 of the Solis balancing change, which will target the 3 pillars of her spec IO. First, the detection mechanic. Starting in the new season, Solis will only be able to detect gadgets that are in the central HUD of her overlay, instead of the entire screen. Additionally, these gadgets will be unidentified by default. The second pillar, scanning and identification, will replace the scan, which would ping gadgets for her teammates, with the overclock mode. Solis starts with 1 overclock charge at the start of the action phase and gains 1 every 25 seconds, for a maximum of 3. Activating overclock will refill Solis' energy meter and identify the gadgets detected in the central HUD. Solis can smart ping the identified gadgets to share them with her team. Overclock lasts for 10 seconds and cannot be cancelled once it starts. She can turn it off, but the overclock timer will still continue to deplete, and if she turns the spec IO back on before it's run out, gadgets will still be identified. During overclock, the spec IO will emit a warning signal to enemy observation tools within the 12-meter detection radius. Finally, the third pillar, energy access, has been updated such that it lasts longer and requires less energy to activate, 50% instead of a full 100%. Solis is still unable to use her gadget during the preparation phase. Don't worry, we're not only getting nerfs in operator balancing. Nokk is being reworked to shift away from the silent vibe and lean in on the idea of fake intel. Her Hell presence reduction will now be action-based instead of time-based. This means that her gauge will only deplete when she's doing something that causes the glitch effect, like running, shooting, or wading through barbed wire. She has about 10 seconds worth of depletion in a full gauge. The gauge will take 120 seconds to fully refill, longer than before, to punish poor use of her gadget, and you'll need at least 20% charge to be able to activate it. All in all, this means Nokk can theoretically have her gadget active the entire round, invisible to all observation tools, so long as she exercises patience and good planning. Alright, we're about halfway through the video. I'm going to take this moment to ask that if you find this video helpful or entertaining, please help it along in the algorithm by liking, commenting, and sharing with your friends. It takes a lot of time and effort to make these videos, and your support keeps me motivated to continue. Consider subscribing to my YouTube channel for more Siege content. I also live stream at twitch.com/Ceymone. Let's get back to Operation Twin Shells. Nokk and Smoke will also be receiving a recoil buff to their FMG9 primary SMG option. On PC, the FMG9 will have reduced first kick, reduced horizontal recoil, and the recoil will remain stable for longer during sustained fire bursts. On console, the FMG9 will have reduced lateral recoil. The R4C, available to Ashe and Ram, is also receiving a balancing update. It is losing 5 bullets from its magazine, reducing it from 30 to 25. It will still have 6 magazines total, bringing the maximum bullets down from 181 to 151. Twin Shells will also bring a handful of game balancing updates to drones, claymores, and proximity alarms. Default drones, Brava's Clutch Drone, Twitch's Shock Drone, and Echo's Yokai are all getting a very interesting new feature this season called Drone Boost. Drone Boost provides 3 3-second maximum boosts that allow your drone to move faster. You don't have to use the full 3 seconds at once, similar to the resource management on Maverick's Blowtorch. The boost takes 6 seconds to recharge. Mozzie can utilize the boost too on hack drones, but he only gets whatever is left of the boost charges. Drone Boost is not available on Flores' RCE Rotero drones. You can find an option in the controls section of the options menu to set the drone boost to either hold or toggle to customize how you'd like to activate or deactivate the boost. Claymores will also be receiving a buff in the new season. The 0.2 second delay between the trigger and the explosion has been removed, meaning the Claymore will detonate as soon as it's triggered. To reduce the efficiency of the deadly combination of Nitro Cell and Proximity Alarm on Sentry, the scoring award notification when proximity alarms are triggered will be removed in the new season. Players will need to rely on hearing the alarm to know it has been triggered. With the new operation comes new changes to the various playlists and game modes. For starters, Versus AI will now offer the full match experience in both beginner and advanced difficulties. With the introduction of attacker AI operators utilizing Thatcher, Ashe, Thermite, Nomad, and Sledge, players can play a proper match against AI opponents who play based on machine-learned player behaviors. On defense, players will have access to 16 defender operators, including Skopos. Roles swap every 2 rounds, similar to Quick Match. The shooting range is also getting a little more love. A cover setting has been added to the aiming lane that dummies can peek out from behind. This option is only available for dummies, not balls. Tutorials have been added for each lane for new players. And finally, one of my favorite additions of the season, you'll be able to queue into the shooting range while you queue for a match on PC and console for an easy way to stay warmed up while you're waiting to get a game. 2 new presets have been added in the Customs playlist as well, focused on 1v1s. The playlist options will be a short option with 6 rounds, 4 to win and 1 overtime round, and a long option with 14 rounds, 8 to win and 3 overtime rounds. All maps are available in the bomb game mode with 20-second preparation phases and role swap every round. Snipers Only is being removed from the arcade playlist rotation, and Weapon Roulette will become a free-for-all based game mode. The map selection page for the map training playlist has been updated for a smoother experience, allowing you to pick between ranked maps, quick match maps, or a randomized map from either. The Tower and Emerald Plains maps have been added. Skill initialization is coming to the ranked playlist, which aims to place new players in a skill level that more accurately reflects their performance before they even play their first ranked game. Players who unlock ranked by getting to clearance level 50 will have their skill assigned based on a new calculation that considers their latest 50 hours of gameplay up to that point. This should do something to curb smurfing in the game as well as to give new players a better start in the competitive scene. Finally, the Siege Cup beta is releasing in Operation Twin Shells. Siege Cup is a series of 5-stack tournaments to test your mettle against similarly competitive stacks. The beta will be open to PC only to start, because it will be easier to control, react to issues, and update, but it should be fully available in Season 4. Stacks will be able to register live, and once you're in, you're committed to play through the brackets. The first cup will be hosted near the start of the season, and then every 2 weeks afterwards. You can register now using the QR code on the screen, or by navigating to the link in the description. Siege Cup will be bringing with it a new currency called competitive coins that can be earned exclusively in ranked and siege cups. These coins can be redeemed for exclusive packs called competitive packs. Due to the delay in the cup's availability, console players will all get a free competitive pack in Year 9 Season 3. As usual, there's a handful of changes coming in the new season to increase and improve player comfort. Most noticeable will be the After Action Report 2.0. The post-game report has been completely overhauled to provide a clearer and streamlined view of the relevant details that are valuable, motivating, and efficient. The new team lineup view will facilitate commendations easier. The Player Recap tab will highlight meaningful accomplishments and provide an insight on your progression and challenges. The scoreboard can still be accessed using the same hotkey as in-game, which by default on PC would be your tab key. Voting yes to commend the enemy team will be a single hotkey, and not pressing the hotkey will be counted as a vote no. The caster cards in Match Replay and Spectator mode are also getting cleaned up to reduce clutter and simplify the information shown about operators. These updates include horizontal card alignment at the bottom of the screen, a streamlined design with information prioritized better, the removal of redundant information, a modernized UI, and new additions to show operators' live locations, currently used devices, and health. Team Deathmatch games will now be reviewable from Match Replay, and this will be rolled out to other arcade game modes in the future. The Locker will show which owned items are currently equipped, and you can now mark all as red in Locker, which will remove the yellow indicator dot, thanks to Chonka. A new item to the accessibility menu is also coming that will allow players to deactivate motion blur. And finally, Rainbow Six will now use the DX12 graphics API, and DX11 can be ran optionally. Vulkan API will no longer be available. Before we wrap up this video, let's chat about AntiCheat and anti-toxicity measures planned for Season 3, both of which are desperately needed after this last season. For AntiCheat, they have a dedicated team that will continue to improve the 6 detection systems, which are DDoS, data, BattlEye, botting, gameplay, and QB. They will also be strengthening the pillar of binary hardening, which is a process of making it harder for cheat manufacturers to access the obfuscated and shuffling data. Ubisoft reported that 75% of bans are happening 12 hours sooner in their latest metrics. Regarding anti-toxicity, the reputation system will remain in beta while it's being overhauled, with the intent for it to be released in Season 4. Reverse friendly fire will also no longer automatically deactivate if you simply revive the teammate you downed. Affected teammates will have a vote box to forgive the offenders, regardless if the perpetrator revived them afterwards or not, to prevent exploitation. Concluding this installment of Everything Coming, Operation Twin Shells will go live on Tuesday, September 10th. Skopos will not be bannable for the first 2 weeks of the season, and the Gold 1 ranked reward will be a Twitch headgear. Throughout the season, we can expect a balancing update, competitive packs, 2 elite skins, and a seasonal event. Thank you for watching or listening. I hope everyone has a fun and fulfilling experience in the new season. Bye!